Regarding visiting the graves, there's a hadith, a very beautiful hadith, a very short hadith, which gives us the importance of visiting the graves. A famous hadith from Sahih al-Bukhari, volume number 2, hadith number 2131. The Prophet ﷺ said, I used to forbid you from visiting the graves. What he said? I used to forbid you from visiting the graves, but you should now visit them. Why? Prophet ﷺ did not say that for now you should visit them for to seek help from them, but Prophet ﷺ said, for now you should visit them, for surely they are the reminders of the next life. I used to forbid you from visiting the graves, but now you should visit them, for surely they are the reminders of the next life. See, here the purpose of visiting the graves is just to remind us of the death and the life after death. But generally people visit dargah to seek help from the walis, which is prohibited in Islam, which leads to major shirk, a shirk al-akbar, which is a serious and major shirk. Shirk means to associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shirk is a sin which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never forgives. Any other sin He may forgive, but the sin of shirk, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never forgives, my dear brothers and sisters. Think about it. The ayah which we recite, at least a Muslim recites it minimum 17 times a day. From Surah Al-Fatiha, chapter number 1, verse number 5. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. What does it mean? You do we worship, and your aid we seek. Thee do we worship, and thine aid we seek. What we are testifying ourselves, that we will worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and we will seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone for worship. And the people, the so-called Muslims, are doing shirk by associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we testify ourselves in the salah that thee do we worship and thine aid we seek. There's a verse in the glorious Quran from Surah Az-Zumar, chapter number 39, verse number 3. What it says is, it is not to Allah the sincere devotion is due, but those who take for protectors other than Allah say, we serve them in order that they might bring us closer to Allah, that they might bring us nearer to Allah. This is what the people who do shirk say today. This is what the people at the time of Prophet ﷺ, the mushriks of Makkah, said. And the same thing today the brothers and sisters who are seeking help from the grave say. What they say is, as the walis are closer to Allah, they are friend of Allah. Walis are friends of Allah. They are closer to Allah. And if we ask the walis, they will intercede on our behalf, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us. See, this is absolute shirk, major shirk. As I said, a shirk al-akbar, a sin which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never forgives. This was the same attitude, my dear brothers and sisters. The mushriks of Makkah did the same thing, and they are called as mushriks, and these people are called as Muslims. Media portrays these graves as the Islamic center for worship. Media portrays it as Islam. The people who do shirk by asking help from these graves are called as Muslims. And at the time of Prophet ﷺ, the people who did the same thing were called as mushriks. Analyze it. Think about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you wonderful memory, wonderful brains to think. Think, my dear brothers and sisters. It's time to think. So it's mentioned in Quran, Surah Yunus, chapter number 10, verse number 31. Say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, say, who is it that sustains you in life in heavens and the earth? Or who is it that has power over all things? Who is it that has power over hearing and sight? And who is it that brings out living from the dead and dead from the living? And who is it that rules and regulates over all affairs? They will soon say Allah. Then say, will you not then show piety to him? This is what the present people who seek help from the graves say. It is what the mushriks of Makkah said. What they say, if you ask them, who is your Rabb, who is your Lord, who is your sustainer, who is your cherisher, they will say Allah. And they will also seek help from others. This was a similar attitude of mushriks of Makkah. The similar example is mentioned in Surah Zukhruf, chapter number 43, verse number 89. If thou ask them, who created them, they will certainly say Allah. How then they are deluded away from the truth. From these verses, it becomes clear to us that it was the similar attitudes of mushriks of Makkah. And for those who say, we worship, we seek help from the walis, this is a beautiful ayah for them. Surah Ghafir, chapter number 40, verse number 60. And your Lord says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, call on me, I will answer your prayer. Call on me and I will answer you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guarantees us that He is gonna answer our prayers, and we need someone to intercede on our behalf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guaranteed us. Then why doubt? Worship Him alone. Worship the Creator, not the creations.